Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, all my dear students of class 8. Hope you all are doing well in your unit tests. I was taking up atomic structure in the last two classes. I had taught you about the ancient views on atoms, and apart from that I had told you about the discovery of electron, and in the last lecture I had explained about J.J. Thomson's experiment along with the properties of electrons, protons, and the discovery of protons as well. So let's quickly revise what we had done in the last lecture. So I had told you regarding the discovery of electrons, that is this we had studied about the J.J. Thomson's experiment, that how he applied an electric field in the path of the cathode rays in the discharge tube, right? Electric field, that is an area in which both the positive and the negative charges are present, that is the negative pole of the electrical field and the positive pole of the electrical field. And what did you observe? That the cathode rays were deflected towards the positive plate, right? And when he applied the magnetic field in the path of cathode rays, they were deflected in the direction in which moving negative charge deflects. That showed that these cathode rays are made up of negatively charged particles and called electrons, and all atoms contain these electrons. And then the properties of the electrons that I had discussed, that is, an electron has a definite mass and a charge of which is definite, that is, charge on one electron is minus 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. Then mass of an electron is 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 28 gram, which is almost negligible and is 1 upon 1/837 times the mass of an atom of hydrogen, and it is represented by the symbol E with the subscript -1, that is the one which is written on the lower corner on the left side, and one written on the right side on the upper corner, that is the superscript 0, which represents the mass as well as the negative electrical charge. Is it clear? Then I had told you about the discovery of protons, and it was done in 1886 by E. Goldstein. He discovered these positively charged particles which were called protons. And what did he do? He passed electricity at high voltage, and what was the cathode ray like in the discharge tube? He produced anode rays in a discharge tube, and he made the cathode perforated. That means that the pores were present in that, so that the anode rays pass through it. Then he passed electricity at high voltage of around 10,000 volts to a gas at a very low pressure, that is around 0.001 millimeter Hg. What did he observe? He observed a red glow behind the cathode, and this is the cathode that you can see, and behind it a red glow was observed. And here it was in absolutely opposite in the or exactly in the opposite direction of the cathode rays. Here the cathode rays, the green glow that you can see produced by the cathode rays, and this red glow produced by the anode rays was in the exact opposite direction. So this proved that they consist of positively charged particles called as protons. So what were the characteristics we had discussed? That is, protons are positively charged particles, and what is the charge? That is equal to the charge of an electron, but opposite in nature, that is not negative but positive, that is 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. And the mass of a proton is almost equal to the mass of an atom of hydrogen, that is 1.67 into 10 to the power of minus 24 grams. And again the symbol of a proton is P, that is the superscript 1, represents its mass as 1 AMU, and the subscript, that is +1, represents unit positive charge. Subscript means written at the left corner, right, at the bottom, and on the top right corner is the superscript, super, right. It is, in the case of proton, it is 1, which represent the mass as 1 mu. So this was all which I had taken up in the last session. I'll proceed on to the chapter further now. Proceed on with it further. So I had this is the structure of an atom, and this is the carbon atom, that is with the number of electrons and protons both being shown, the number of electrons being represented by the green circles that you can see, and the protons being represented by the red circles, and of course neutron we have not discussed as yet, is represented by the white circles. So you can see the number of electrons and the number of protons are equal, that is both are 6, right. So but it is, this is for carbon, and all the atoms have different number of protons, and no two atoms have the same number of protons, right. Now if we compare it to the atoms of hydrogen, helium, nitrogen and oxygen, hydrogen contains 1 electron and helium contains 2 and oxygen 8, nitrogen 7, and carbon itself is represented as 6, as you can see in this diagram. So you can see that the number of protons and the number of electrons are equal. So this shows that an atom is electrically neutral. Is it clear? So that is the number of electron, that is the total negative charge, is balanced by the total positive charge, that is the number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. The charge cancel each other, as a result the atom becomes electrically neutral. You can see in this figure also that the number of proton, that is the amount of positive charge, is equal to the number of electrons, both are equal, that is the total positive charge is equal to the total negative charge, right. Both of these you can see, and the atom becomes balanced, that is the charge become balanced, and the atom itself becomes electrically neutral. Is it clear? But this was the only concept, that the number of protons and the number of electrons are always equal in an atom, but it was not established at that time that how the electrons and protons are arranged, what is the position. That is why I did not tell you in that figure where are the electrons, I just showed you, but in what structure or what are the things or the pathways in which the electrons are there, or where are the protons, I did not pinpoint that, because by that time it was not established, or it was not found that what is the arrangement of these electrons and protons in the atom. So various scientists like J.J. Thomson, Rutherford, Niels Bohr, they had their own models to explain the arrangement of protons and electrons in an atom, which we will discuss after the exercise on page number 44. To move on to the exercise on page number 44. So tick the correct options. Which of the following is not according to Maharishi Kannad's view of atom? Maharishi Kannad, what did he prove? What did he find out? That matter is made up of indivisible particles which are known as Parmanu, which cannot be divided further into anything smaller, that is indivisible, that is they are indivisible. So Parmanu is an indivisible particle. This is correct. Matter can further be divided into smaller particles. Param means ultimate and Anu means particles. Atom can further be divided into smaller particles. So which was correct? That which is incorrect, sorry. That is, atom can further be divided into smaller particles. This was not found out. or this was not in accordance with Maharishi Kannad. Is that clear? That is the D part. Which of the following is not a postulate of Dalton's atomic theory? Matter is made up of extremely small and indivisible particles called atoms. All the atoms of a particular element are identical. Atoms of an element combine with the atoms of other elements to form molecule of compounds, and atoms can be created as well as destroyed. Yes, atoms can neither be created nor destroyed. So D is not a postulate of Dalton's atomic theory. Is it clear? This one, D1, right? Then which of the following is not correctly matched? Cathode ray electron negatively charged, anode ray proton negatively charged, anode ray proton positively charged. So it is B1, right? This is the B1. Next is which of the following is not representing the correct property of electrons? Mass of electron is 1 upon 1837 times the mass of an atom of hydrogen. Charge of an electron is 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. Electron has a definite mass and carries a definite charge, both A and B. So it is A and C are right, they are the correct properties, and charge of an electron is minus, it is negative 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. Is it clear? So it is this one. Next is fill in the blanks. Electrons, blank and blank are called fundamental or subatomic particles. It is neutrons and protons both. The protons and the neutrons, right? Next is who discovered the electron? It was J.J. Thomson. J.J. Thomson. Then cathode rays are deflected towards blank plane in the presence of an electric field. Cathode rays are negatively charged, so they are deflected in towards the positive plate. Is it clear? It is the positive plate. Next is the properties of an electron are blank of the nature of a gas fill in the discharge tube. It is they are independent of the nature of the gas. Is it clear? So please revise it and go through these answers once again. Next, to prove or to find out or to explain the arrangement of electrons and protons in an atom, J.J. Thomson proposed the first model of an atom in 1903. Right? So let's move on to the J.J. Thomson model of an atom. So according to J.J. Thomson, that an atom was a solid sphere of positively charged material and the negatively charged particle electrons were embedded in it like the seeds in a watermelon. The comparison has been made with the watermelon, which you can see here in the picture, that the positively charged material and the negatively charged particle electrons were embedded in it, right? Embedded means embedded means they cannot be made out very deeply inside a particular thing. Is that clear? So the red edible part of the watermelon is compared with the positive charge in the atom. Red edible part which we eat is compared with the positive charge in the atom. So what are the postulates of this model, that is J.J. Thomson's model? It is also known as the plum pudding model, right? An atom is a sphere or ball of positive charge. It is a sphere or ball of positive charge with negatively charged electron embedded in it. You can see the electrons are embedded in it. These blue with the negative sign, blue circles with the negative sign. Is it clear? And in an atom you can see that the total positive charge is equal to the total negative charge, and this proved that the atom is electrically neutral. You can see the number of blue circles with the negative sign, that is around 8, and similar is almost similar with the positive charge. So the mass of an atom is considered to be uniformly distributed. This was the third point in the Thomson's model, and J.J. Thomson compared the atom with the Christmas pudding, in which the dry fruits represent the electrons and the whole pudding is positively charged atom, and he called it the plum pudding model. And he compared the atom with the watermelon, as I have shown you, to the pudding as well as the watermelon, and that is why this model is also known as the plum pudding model. And the red edible part represents the positive charge, and with the electrons are embedded just like the seeds. But Thomson could not give any experimental support in favor of this model, and he could not explain many experimental observations about atoms. So this model of atom was not accepted. So it was not accepted, and the prediction that atom is electrically neutral was widely accepted and found to be a valuable contribution. So this was the valuable contribution of J.J. Thomson, that the electron, how to prove that it is electrically neutral, and this was a valuable contribution of J.J. Thomson. Then after this model, Ernest Rutherford conducted an experiment with alpha particles, and this was known as the alpha particle scattering experiment, which led to the discovery of nucleus. And he did this, or he conducted this experiment to find the arrangement of electrons and protons in an atom. So this you can see is the alpha scattering experiment of Rutherford. And what did he do? Rutherford bombarded a thin gold foil about 0.00004 centimeter thick. This is the gold foil, right? And he bombarded it. Bombardment means to strike repeatedly on something, to attack something repeatedly. Bombardment is there when there are wars between countries. There is a rapid bombardment, that is the bombs are dropped. Similarly here the emission of the alpha particles was done on the gold foil. So this gold foil, which is very thin, is kept in an evacuated chamber, a chamber which contained no air. Evacuated means without any air, and these particles got scattered. You can see these red arrows. This shows the scattering of the alpha particle which struck on the gold foil, and they were allowed to strike where this screen that you can see. This is the screen which is made of zinc sulfide, and this is known as this is coated with zinc sulfide, and this is known as the detect. So this is the detecting screen which you can see, which is made up of a coating of zinc sulfide. And what did he observe? He observed a flash of light on the screen. Alpha particle struck. There was a flash of light which could be observed on the screen. And after doing this experiment, or while doing this experiment, Rutherford made certain observation and then concluded on the basis of those observations, which we will discuss in the next session. But before that, let me show you how this experiment was done. So this is Rutherford's alpha scattering experiment, and he was a British physicist, and which led to the discovery of nucleus. Now you can see the arrangement in the lead box. Source radioactive substance is kept, which is emitting the alpha particles, and generally radium was taken at that time, which is a radioactive substance, that is shows spontaneously it gives out emissions. You can see those how these alpha particles were bombarded on the thin gold foil, and how the alpha particles were scattered on the screen, which was fluorescent, and that has produced a lightning effect, and which was coated with zinc sulfide. And what was produced, you can see the scintillation, the lightning effect were produced. It was differently at different places, and which could be seen with the help of an instrument. It was seen how the Rutherford's experiment was conducted. Rest his observation and conclusions, and the other topics in the chapter we will discuss in the next session, inshallah. Revise the chapter as much as we have done. Allah Hafiz.